You're watching WRKM Channel 22, number one in the region. The following WRKM broadcast is for mature audiences only, and let's be honest, it may not be for the people of LA this evening. I saw a dude on Threads saying that to LA, New York is like his ex. We don't think about us, but we can never stop mentioning how great we are. Which, gotta give it to him. What a humble trauma dump, right? Because it's just a joke, but I'm also admitting I'm not over this person. That's not a bit, it's not a tweet or a thread. It's a voice note. It's a voicemail, actually. The one you leave at 3 a.m. knowing you've made some mistakes and you're living in the wrong city. See, me, I don't have those problems. Because while some of my exes may think they are better than me, I know for a fact that I was the best thing to happen to them. Honestly, respectfully, allegedly. Now, some would say I have told stories about exes on this podcast. Some would say, Ralph, have you not trauma dumped? But can it be trauma dumping if all the stories end with me winning? That's not trauma dumping, that's trauma mythologizing. Like Roy Cohn once told Trump, never admit defeat, always claim victory. And it's worked out for him in some way. Some would say it made him president. It's a lesson I wish more people in LA would learn. But unfortunately, they have not. They have not. Because you have this guy in LA cutting a promo on a city that, one, is objectively better, two, does not think about him or LA. We barely acknowledge Jersey and it's right over there. And yeah, fair enough. You could make the argument, well, I'm currently talking about LA. Well, consider this outreach. Consider this charity. Consider this me putting them over. Someone has to. I, big brother, will come down from my perch and give little brother the attention he seems to deserve. Los Angeles should be thanking us. We showed them how to do a city. They said no thank you. We will do 40 suburbs and pretend we're a metropolis. No center, no plan. A map designed by someone who's on fentanyl. A man who would name places like Echo Park, Culver City, Tahunga? The fuck is that about? See, our neighborhoods have historical value in their names. These are just Wi-Fi networks. And you know, while you're at it, thank Brooklyn, because you wouldn't have the Dodgers without us. It wasn't like the Hollywood stars were going to get you a World Series. You should thank Minneapolis too, for you had no lakes, but you were given the Lakers. You're welcome. The Angels of Anaheim, a team so unsure where they live, they have 2 addresses. You borrow your water from the states. When it rains, the whole city seemingly shuts down. That's not a joke. That is a giveaway to the state of the city you're in. The very notion of other weather unravels people. This is why the Zodiac was so successful. This is why Manson was so successful. You cannot build a doctrine of internal sunshine and then be surprised when the darkness shows up. Now, I want to make something clear here. It is not all LA shade. I do love Vince Staples. I do. He's one of my favorite people in media, rap, the whole game. Kendrick Lamar as well. Crenshaw over Beverly Hills all day. Shout out to my boy, Devin Costa of the Hate Watch podcast. Love him. Love him. But LA is a town where you meet people and immediately ask, what are you working on? Not out of interest, not out of conversation, out of pure appetite, out of wanting. The Romans had a phrase, I learned it recently, so be prepared for me to use it over and over and over and over again. Do et dus. I give so that you may give. You put something on the altar and something comes back. It is a sacred contract. The giving and the getting, one gesture. All cities do this. LA read that inscription and decided the first part was kind of lame. Fair enough. They just wanted the getting. From the studio system down to Skid Row, top to bottom, it is a city that shows up the temple with an empty basket but a big smile. A city of leeches. You ought to be proud of the culture you developed. The cuisine you stole and made worse. The 4 perfect foods you took and then, in the sake of fusion, turned into shit. Because that's what LA is. LA is an ex-girlfriend who was in the background of a Daredevil episode and reminds you all the time. She was once on Boardwalk Empire and said hi to Steve Buscemi, and she's never gotten over that. She's always in talks that go nowhere. None. But she won't leave LA because to own LA real estate, or to be an LA renter at least, it means you're part of it. You're part of the system. But unfortunately, no one's calling her back. She spends most of her days bitching about better cities and more talented people forgetting to focus. And then you remind yourself, wait a minute. Not once did I ask her how she was doing, but she is offering up all of this. That is LA. And I may not be the best of New York or the East Coast, but I am now declaring a second East Coast, West Coast battle. And with that being said, let's have the talks we can have when the sun is up. Good evening. I'm Ralph Martinez in Sweat and Darkness. Some would say the sign that your nation or your empire is crumbling is when the kids are selling drugs in college, to go to college, to have enough money to take girls out. But it's a time-honored tradition. It's as much part of the campus as the mascot, the fight song, and the football team. My dad's generation did it. My generation did it. That's how the kids are doing it today. So when I heard about the Penn State situation, I thought, surely this is a non-story. Surely someone didn't wake up one day and found that the kids were smoking pot, snorting coke, doing Adderall at all times of night, cramming for tests, hyper-focusing, shutting out the demons they ran away from at home. And I had pictured a very different scenario. I was picturing the tradition of the college drug dealer, the entrepreneurial sophomore with a shoebox, the scale he bought from the guy he's selling for, a noble American, a young capitalist, the best of our youth, enterprising, pulling himself up from his bootstraps, truly being what it means to be an American, but apparently not. This was a multi-state operation. Two guys went from Philadelphia to New York, and let me tell you, I gotta hand it to them. That's actually pretty ballsy. Philly, really nice. Like, this is like we're talking about state property, Beanie Siegel type shit, really. But it's also a time-honored path of the old Prohibition days. 14 people were charged. 2 fraternities. 2. This isn't a kid paying for his tuition, actually. It's a kid starting a supply chain. And we here on this show have always said to put the kids to work. We have always said that it's time for them to earn their keep. And this is a gangster's paradise. Rob what you can. Surely he earned his business degree then. I just handed it to him. He's already graduated. He's already learned how to be a true American capitalist. But this didn't, this tradition was always there. All they really did was they scaled it. They gave it logistics. Somebody in the frat had a spreadsheet, and here's the part where maybe I'm on the wrong side of this. But the tradition, the real one, is a rite of passage. You pledge, you suffer a little, you get initiated into a brotherhood that's ancient. The Greeks had mystery cults. The whole point was you go through the ordeal and come out transformed as a man. That's what they were doing. They were taking these young boys who had never done anything in their lives, probably never stole a candy bar, took a nickel off the street, and they had these pledges, cutting and bagging cocaine. It's a sacred initiation rite. It was, God damn it. It is the first unpaid internship, and they're learning so much. Truly, in the tradition of the Greeks, because they too are a pack of criminals. Congratulations, you're a real man. You're a made man already. To be a made man 21, you know how fucking amazing that is? You have to go on dates right after graduation going, not only do I have some money in my pocket, I was out here slinging yay, as Kanye would say. We miss Kanye. We miss him. It's like the Lucian mysteries, except right now you're facing about 18 to life. The tuition angle, which was always the traditional angle, it was the one that, it was the one that was always put upon those situations so people could have a real political point that schools cost too much. And how can anyone get through college, paying for college legally? So if you can't get it, scholarship, you go out and make your scholarship. And you had to respect it. I knew guys who did it myself. Guys who went to these really nice colleges. Some of them were slinging. Not going to say who. Come on, a snitch. But it is the capitalistic dream to be able to get away with a crime. Everyone wants to get away with a crime. I live on Staten Island now. Everyone thinks they're associated with crime. Everyone thinks they're 2 steps away from Tony Soprano. It's fucking amazing. 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. It's 1 degree separation from the Gotti family. It's fucking absurd. And everyone's got a story. Everyone was connected at one time, but yet no one realizes in any of these stories they were robbing from them. But at least these kids took these pledges and went, hey, I'm going to put you in incredible danger. I'm putting your life at risk. But, but, you get to learn about supply and demand in the supply chain. One of the kids' dads got arrested and charged too. He was helping hide a safe full of drugs and cash. I wish my dad would have done stuff like that with me. My dad didn't do enough of that stuff. Had my dad been around and taught me how to measure drugs, I'd probably be better at math. Math was always my weakest, so maybe he identified that in me. Maybe he went, oh no, this is not Ralph's forte. Maybe he should go read some books. Fair fucking enough. But it's a family business. It's a family business. Nepotism finally came to the drug trade. I love it. Daddy's generation took care of it all. He was like, fine, if you're going to do it, I'll be the base of operations. He got handed down what was a legacy. You mean to tell me that that guy's clean? No. He just knew, hey, I know where to store your shit. I know you can't have it at the dorm. They were having a father and son moment. And the fact that the United States government does not see that, does not respect it, is the real crime here. It has little to do with the cocaine being sold and the hazing. Though, hazing's not good. One of the guys, when they came in, thought he was being pranked. Because surely this was on the up and up. Penn State's been robbing students for years with a lackluster education. It's time to rob it back. So no, the nation's not collapsing because the kids are selling drugs. It's collapsing because all they've done and all we've done have taken the drug trade and added middle management, HR actionable hazing policies, and take your son to work days. But none of that's new. We didn't invent new evil. We just stopped decorating the old ones. We just went, no, it's just what we do around here. And if it's younger, sexier, I haven't seen any of these men, we'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. If anything, that kid should be the professor. He should be teaching a class next semester. Get his syllabus ready. Get ready to give him tenure. Because there was not a single business professor at Penn State that's got his level of experience. Philly to New York is a tough territory. A lot of guys trying to make money out there. A lot of guys trying to make it happen. All right? We raise our red cup to the Penn State kids. Free to Penn State kids. I think there's no way in that come back and bite me in the ass. Not once. Because it's capitalism. It's the American dream. It's everyone's dream in America to get away with crime and get loads of dollars for it. Because you think it'd be a one-time thing. I'm only going to do it once and I'll walk away. That's a lie. It's a lie. They didn't walk away. They didn't walk away. I hope that their kids understand that their parents are legends and may be the last two young capitalists we have left in this country before it descends into socialism. Which I voted for here in New York. I voted for Mondani. I never said I'd have all the answers or be consistent on some things, but it's tough. While I do believe in a social safety net and justice, I also do believe kids should be allowed to sell drugs in college. If I must indulge in this capitalist system, let the kids push some rock, bricks of coke, Adderall if they can get their hands on it. It's all enterprising, and it's all leading to a great future. Speaking of great American capitalists, I was ready to say on this platform that maybe Stormy Daniels was wrong, that maybe Trump was really out here swinging dick. Now, I'm not a fan of the man, but I can respect the game. You know, I used to have this swag in my heyday. Long-term affairs where women bought me comic books. I had an ex handwriting poems to me months after we broke up. Handwriting in the 21st century. All right? That's the game I'm on. I got chicks writing notes. That wasn't a breakup that I had. I made a legitimate fan that was still sending me fan mail. So when I saw a woman was writing to our president these love letters, my instinct was player to player, pimp to pimp, gotta salute. Then I read them because I thought these were love letters. They're not love letters. A love letter is between two people, right? Who are definitely doing the thing. Sometimes you can get graphic in them. Sometimes you can get really deeply intimate with some aspects of it. I want to read some that she wrote. Because on their face, they look pretty bad. They look pretty bad. And she's not an ugly girl either. So you start asking questions. How down bad are you that you're a groupie for Trump? Dear Mr. President, you have the most absolute right to cuss me out, if need be, when I deserve it, because no one knows or cares about me more. Dear Mr. President, you're all that matters to me. I don't want to ever let you down. Thank you for being my guardian protector in this life. With all my heart, Natalie. Now, provocative, isn't it? Submissive. Ooh. Tantalizing even, if you're into that kind of thing. You know, wow. She doesn't want to disappoint her president. I'm so sorry. Curse me out whenever you can. Like that. I know how it reads. I know how it reads. But what was actually happening in these letters was one person was apologizing to a man for running across a golf cart to keep up with running across a golf course to keep up with his golf cart. Then she wrote a sorry for the inconvenience for walking on the grass. Now, I gotta be honest, I kind of went limp around here. Because it wasn't fun anymore. Because it was kind of sad. Her brother went on CNN and he says, this didn't start with Trump either. She's been writing love letters to presidents since she was 16. She wrote letters to George W. Bush during the Iraq War. Bush didn't write back because too busy golfing. But he understood that this was a teenager pouring her heart out to the commander-in-chief. So what she really was not a Trump groupie. She was a presidential groupie. And there's nothing more down bad than being a presidential groupie. Doesn't matter who's in office. Not who. Now I can understand right letters to Obama. Young, fine man, too. I can get Bill Clinton a little bit. But George Bush, he got no game, no swag. We only found out he had swag after the presidency. We always thought he was a moron. But when we saw Michelle Obama giving him some candy, we knew what was up. We knew the boy had swag. And low key, I was kind of shipping it. Not that I want to see a great, powerful black couple divorce, but how great would have been? George W. swiping. So she's a presidential groupie, and that makes this not the story I wanted it to be. I really wanted it to be like, yo, Trump's out here slaying it. But the thing is, she's not the only one who's ever treated him this way. Laura Loomer allegedly, he popped that. That's the rumor. That's the rumor. Now I wouldn't be surprised if you know Laura Loomer's history. there's a video of her. Let me see if I can find it. There's a video of her really trying to get this dude to sleep with her at this party, and it's sad. But I would not be surprised if Laura Loomer was out here like that. Let's see if I can find it. Laura Loomer party guy. Let me see. Oh, wow. Someone's got it straight up on the YouTube. Let us, bam, get that up. My apologies for not having this set up sooner. A more sophisticated podcast would have done that. But I'm not a sophisticated broadcaster. I'm a guy in a home broadcasting to you for free. But I don't begrudge it. It is my
Marilyn, your eyes look so good. You're like beautiful.
Thank you.
You're like an Aryan degenerate goddess.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. You're Aryan too.
I know, but I'm Jewish.
It's okay.
And the Nazis hate me.
It's fine.
The alt-right people want to put me in a gas chamber because they're obsessed with the Jews.
I think they're just memeing on you, but it's okay.
They're just jealous because I have big tits and an Ashkenazi IQ.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. You got it.
I'm going to tell you a secret. Like, you know, so many people in this movement who preach trad life are, like, fucking people on the side and, like, cheating on their partners.
That's
like,
so bad.
Like, they're not even, like, really trad life. Like,
Well. My favorite part is the tits and the IQ. That's why the people are hating. But you can also kind of see it's a little blurry, but her face was already plastic surgery by this point. She was already turning into a Bratz doll. I know. How low level of me to punch down on Laura Loomer's looks. But as you can see, the right has kind of a odd sexual tension. And it could be because they're so held back from being sexual beings. Like, they're not allowed to really express that publicly. Hence the grinder breaks every time they have a party or a situation going on. But maybe Trump's got the juice. And we accused everyone of kink shaming him for the pee video. That if a man wants to get peed on, that's his gosh darn business. But if he's got game like this, you gotta have some kind of respect. Now, the Natalie Harp thing is weird. Does it elevate him to player, pimp to pimp? I don't know. This is a very inconclusive case. And there's very rarely inconclusive cases on this one in Darkness. But whether Trump is slinging his dick is now an inconclusive case. We have Stormy Daniels who said it's small mushroom, not really that great. And we have Natalie Harp going nuts over a guy she may or may not have been popped by, allegedly. But we got Laura Loomer, let me tell you, the rumors are heavy in the right-wing circles that she got intimate with the big guy. And I only call him the big guy because someone at work once, a man from Florida who is a computer reseller, called him the big guy. Right after Trump won, he called and he was like, "Hey, how's it going?" We're like, "Yeah, no, I'm just a good day, doing orders and stuff. How can I help?" He's like, "Yeah, you must be really excited as a business because the big guy is back in the office." And that's what makes Trump kind of interesting, because I would say he's got bisexual groupies. He's got the chicks like Natalie Harp, and then he's got Benny Johnson, who allegedly is in the closet. Allegedly. Some say, rumors, speculation, allegedly, that they got caught arguing with his wife in a hotel lobby because she found them with somebody. Allegedly. So, I can see how Trump could be. If the right really wants to upset the liberals, you got to figure out a way to get your LGBTQ people who are in the closet to come out and say he's the one that turned them gay. That's the move. Because then he becomes an icon. Like Jeff Goldblum in a lot of ways. So I don't know. I cannot conclusively say, was the president slinging dick? But I want it to be true. Because I want to find some level in which I can relate to this guy. And play to pimp to pimp. It'd be nice. I gotta get something out of this administration. It just can't be all doom and gloom. I've got to get something. Come on, play to pimp to pimp. Let's do this. Tasteless, I know. But then again, I've never claimed to be a great arbiter of taste and classiness. But speaking of player to player, pimp to pimp, I've been reading a lot of Playboy recently. I know, the classic cliche, I read Playboy for the articles. But in this case, I do, because they've kind of changed up the whole paradigm. Like, yes, there's nudity, but there's also really interesting articles on society and such. And one of my favorites right now, or at least one of my favorite writers on there right now, she's a senior editor for Playboy. Magdalene Taylor I've been following her before Playboy. She is really one of the few people I think really getting into the tech and sex space and really talking about something that's real. It's not, necessarily snarky stuff, but there's a bit of a wit to her writing. But there is some real thought being put into it. And she's someone that I enjoy reading, been enjoying her before Playboy. So she has this article, is Gen Z's ruining sex for everyone. And they always like Gen Z's never having enough sex, or the whole generation can't be bothered with it. And I'll be honest, like, I opened the article ready to shake my fist and be the old head going, God damn it, she's right. Like, these damn kids aren't doing the way they were back in my day. We did it in cars, we did it on subway trains. You would wait until you got to the last stop, and if it was a tunnel stop, you kind of got stuck there for about 15, 20 minutes until it went around to go the other way. So typically this was done on Broad Street from what I've been told. I came to blame the children, as we always do on this show. We want to send the kids back to work. We want them to go back to the factories, the warehouses. We want them to be doing more than what they're doing. But I wasn't surprised, because I know she's a good writer, but it was less about the kids being prudes and more about a concept that I do think is more universal, but I think certainly does apply to Gen Z. Now, in 1791, you got a guy named Betham, and he calls this thing the panopticon. And it's a circle of cells, a tower in the middle, one guard. And the trick is the prisoner can never tell when the guard is looking. So he assumes at all times everyone's looking, so he behaves. He polices himself. You don't even need the guard. You just need him to believe the guard, or in the guard, right? Now, Foucault dusted this off in the 70s and said, that's not a prison, that's the whole modern world. And now you look at shows like Love Island and stuff like that, where the camera is catching every interaction, everything that's said. It's the guy who's cheating on his wife that gets caught on video for going, oh, look at this public display of affection, but somehow gets outed. Or the guy who's at the concert, with his employee, now, bam, they're caught in the middle of a sexy tryst. And the article was right about that, right? Like, but I think it also kind of steps one step short, because it says these things were done to us, but on this one in darkness, we don't dodge accountability and responsibility. And because it wasn't that these kids were choosing the panopticon, It's that they were born in the panopticon because the millennials made the panopticon. Like, we were the first ones doing the social media situation. We had the cameras. We were already doing TikToks before there were TikToks. Like, we as society or as a culture, I guess, we already chose the panopticon. And it wasn't so much that it was new to us. This isn't a new concept, the panopticon, clearly, since 1791. But I would argue that we had just become to accept the panopticon in a different way, right? When it comes to, like, we were homesick for the panopticon. So the second we got the social media ability, we started posting things, because now, as the guard, if the guard acknowledges you and the guard sees you, you exist. And the thing that actually ended, and it's not new, we have always lived under the eye. For tens of thousands of years, there was a God up there we believed in, right? Who saw everything, saw what you did in the dark, saw the thing that nobody knew about, and you behaved. And even when you went out and did your little kink stuff, right? Part of the kink was, ooh, this is forbidden by traditional society. If anyone had any idea, you could also extrapolate that to God as well. So in essence, to me, all we did was we secularized God in that aspect of it. You know, we took the all-seeing eye down from the ceiling of the church and we put it on a selfie stick. That would be the best way I can explain it. We killed the old God, I hate when I hit my keyboard like that, and we got so lost without the eye that we built a new one. And we were religious again. You know, we changed, we just changed gods. But there was a difference. And it's kind of the one thing I'll always give religion. The old God didn't just watch you, he forgave you. And you had both. There was the confession, there was the penance, say your 12 Hail Marys and you're out. But now in this new panopticon, there is no forgiveness aspect of it. And because the forgiveness part is lacking, now desire becomes dark. Now having tastes that are off the beaten path becomes dark. That's really your sexual recession, that we didn't pick up the one thing we should have picked up from the all-seeing eye of religion. And to be fair, most religious people don't pick it up either, is the forgiveness part. And I can't blame Gen Z for choosing the panopticon or being born in it, because the millennials built it, the real world. 7 strangers were in a house. We watched them hooked up. We would cheer on who hooked up. We'd go, ew, she hooked up with him. Every season, same thing with Road Rules. Now it's the challenge where everyone's banging each other. The alliance eliminations. Who gets voted off the island? We had already signed off on the Panopticon, and we had already signed off on Big Brother, because we all wanted to be seen. And to be fair, maybe we all wanted to be judged just a little bit. Just a little bit. And how could a generation like mine, the millennials, whose only true skill was snark and irony, eye rolling was our love language. The irony was the armor that protected us from ever having to be caught meaning anything. So nobody could convict you, which wasn't a personality, by the way. It was a survival tactic. We were already inside. We already, we kept the jokes and handed the cameras over to a generation who was just like, oh, well, you did it. You didn't forgive anybody. You canceled people left and right. You built the Panopticon. Maybe you guys know better. And now we are complaining about it because it horseshoed, because now it affects our situation. Now it affects that we're not, having as many kids, or we're having more incels, or we're having psychological issues. But that is not on Gen Z. It's not on them for that. Now, they can always choose to fight against that, and I hope they do. I hope they become more free in going about their sexual, fun. But to be fair, I feel like in some ways they already are. They're having more conversations about what they are as a human being, what they are sexually, far earlier than my generation did. You know? So I'm on the flip side of it. And it's a rare time that I don't agree with Magdalene, because I do think she's got a good pulse on it. But I do think sometimes it is very easy, you know, it's very easy to blame Gen Z because of the younger generation and you feel like they should be beyond where you were. Or they then have this issue of they're trying to adhere to a standard that they didn't even ask for. And I think that's where I get lost in these conversations. That's where I do get lost in these conversations. But it's an interesting concept, you know. But I do think the forgiveness aspect, when we traded gods, we didn't take the one part that was the actual good part of it all. It wasn't the scripture. The life lessons were so generic you could have got them anywhere. The forgiveness part was the huge part, because there were plenty of people during the millennial era who were called out on things that ended up not being true, that we just never forgave because, well, that's what they said. And it went everywhere. There were people who were rightfully exiled, canceled, rightfully. They had real allegations around them. We could prove that. But for a lot of other people, they got judged for a lot of things that wasn't our business. And now those guys are out with no proof whatsoever. So maybe Gen Z's got it right. Maybe in a panopticon, no one can catch you slipping. No one can defame your name. That's me looking at it from their perspective. I don't support a surveillance state. I just already live in one because my generation chose to do it. But I think we all know how this one is going to end.